Now, we're in the middle of this government shutdown, and what this would call for is somebody to negotiate a deal between Republicans and Democrats in order to get the government back open. Now, who would be best for that? Well, if you ask him, that would be Donald Trump. He seems to be the master negotiator, at least in his mind. You know, he wrote the book, The Art of the Deal. But when it comes to this negotiation, and a lot of negotiations this term, his style of negotiations is, here's what I'm offering, take it or leave it. And that's it. He doesn't actually really negotiate. He just bullies and pushes around, and Democrats aren't having it this time. Now, you'd think he would be trying to negotiate and make this work, but he's not. He wants his way. He'd rather blame Democrats for the shutdown. He has had his people rewrite messages on government websites and outgoing emails blaming Democrats, which could be a violation of the Hatch Act. Probably is a violation of the Hatch Act, but Donald Trump doesn't care about that. He cares about the optics of looking like the tough guy, looking like the winner. And you would think he would rather look like the master negotiator that he claims to be by coming to some kind of a term or a deal. And he hasn't done that. He's just let it play its course. He's going to let the House and the Senate have the government shut down. I think he prefers it that way because it's delaying the Epstein files. It's delaying a lot of things, and he thinks he has free reign while the government is shut down to do whatever he wants. That he can just fire a bunch of government employees, even though every time he has tried it, this administration, the courts have said no. He's going to use this time to go in and cut a bunch of funding for a bunch of programs. However, things that were specifically passed by Congress, he's not allowed to do that without Congress's approval. Now, this may give him a chance to come up with a list for Congress to look at. Sure, that would be legal. But just saying we're not funding X, Y, and Z is not necessarily legal because, as I've talked about in numerous videos, the power of the purse resides with Congress. So Donald Trump is going to try to use this shutdown to full advantage. But if he was really the negotiator he claims to be, he would be negotiating every day, multiple times a day, trying to get concessions from both sides, figuring out how they can compromise. Maybe they extend the Affordable Care Act subsidies for 2 years and delay the Medicaid cuts by 2 years, and Democrats would open the government and they could have negotiations later. But he doesn't want to do that. He just wants to let it play itself out and reap the chaos that it is causing. This is not the work of a master negotiator or a great businessman like he likes to tell us. This is just a guy who likes to project strength, who is very, very weak and doesn't really have a clue as to what's going on.